So I'm going to talk about today such an important part of building and growing a business. Hiring a salesperson. If you get this right, it could take your business to the next level. If you get this wrong, it can cost you tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, depending upon where you in your business are. And it could cause a lot of mental anguish. Hiring a salesperson is unlike hiring for any other position. It's different. And I could spend an entire week on this subject because there's so many things that are important for you to know. That being said, I want to hit the highlights and give you some ideas that are going to be helpful for you. And let me give you some backstory so you can understand where I'm coming from. Samantha, great to see you here. Give you a backstory so kind of understand where I'm coming from to give you context. I started my first sales role way back when. I mean, long time ago. Decades. and decades ago. And I didn't have a clue about sales. And as a matter of fact, I wasn't getting, for month after month, I was getting zero sales. Zip, zero, nada. And I was in a 100% commission sales role. But my boss became my mentor. Very important thing there. My boss became my mentor. He saw something in me, even though I didn't have any experience. He said, Chaz, you can be the number one salesperson in the company, but you got to follow the system. You got to follow the process because it's proven. Now, within what I just told you right there, they had a proven system. They had a proven process. And because they knew it and understood it backwards and forwards, and as long as you follow the system and the process, he said you could be number one. Now, I never did become the number one salesperson, but I went from 119 out of 119 sales reps to number 3, 45 days later. Because I followed the system, I followed the process, I had the support of somebody, and that's, if you just think about that framework, we're going to dive into what most people do and what happens most of the time, okay? And by the way, reach out if you want further clarity about hiring a salesperson. Scott, great to see you here. Baha, I hope I got that right. Ron, great to see you. Reach out if you want further clarity on hiring a salesperson, having a sales and marketing analysis. Just go to my profile. You see a web address. On my banner, all you have to do is click on my picture, go to my profile, and you'll see the big bold letters, www.b2bclientsnow.com. Put your name and information there, and I will follow up with you. You'll also get access to my other live events that are happening. Brad, great to see you, okay? So you want to hire a salesperson, or maybe you've already hired a salesperson. If you have, and you're like, Chaz, I already did it. It's too late. This is going to be for you as well. Okay? Maybe you've made some mistakes. Maybe you've hired a salesperson previously. Anybody have a salesperson on their team right now? Give me a thumbs up, if you would. Annika, great to see you. Okay, Stu, all right. So here's something that I want you to, oh, excellent, very cool. Here's something that I want you to do throughout to make your experience better today and to help everyone here. If a point resonates with you, if you see the emojis back there, it says react, give me a thumbs up, give me a heart. If I say something funny, I do every once in a while, laugh, enjoy the experience, okay? And if you see the share button down there, now LinkedIn has changed some things. I have the share button. If you have the share button, hit the share button, share this with others, and we can have more people join us. Sound good? Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to walk you through the who, the what, the when, the how, and the why. Think about that. Who, what, when, how, and why. We're not going to cover all these, but I'm going to hit some of the main points. Okay? So the first question is, why do you want to hire a salesperson? Think about that. Why do you want to hire a salesperson? Are you doing it because I don't want to sell anymore? Are you doing it because you're in a place where it's just like, I'm sick of this. I'm going through salespeople. I just need another one. you got to answer that question. I have a client, we'll call him Melvin to protect the guilty, okay? He wanted to focus on other parts of his business, and he had a business that was going between $500 to $750,000 a year, okay? And was an engineer type. He understood how to sell just from experience, because if he connected with somebody, people knew he was an authority, and they understood that he was an authority. They understood that he knew what he was doing. But he wasn't a business development rep, meaning he wasn't bringing leads in. He was relying on referrals. And he was getting tired of this because he was starting to reach out referrals are great. Let me slow down. But they're not predictable. So he was getting sick and tired of being sick and tired of trying to reach people, and he was not wanting to reach out to people. So he hired a salesperson who had industry experience. I'm using quotation marks with my fingers. Hey, Ann, great to see you. Lou, Deb, awesome to see you. So he was working the business. He was tired of being the sales rep. He wanted a sales rep to replace him. And by the way, everybody joining me, we're going through the who, what, why, when. This is not going to be an exhaustive. And if you have other questions, just go to my profile. You'll see the link on my banner. Put your name and information after putting that in your browser, and I'd be happy to reach out to you, okay? So he was drained. And he found someone with industry experience. And he's like, well, this guy has industry experience. Makes sense, right? So he hired that person, and he quickly learned an important lesson that many people learn the hard way. The person that he hired was more of an account rep, okay? Now, let me give you an analysis. Think hunter, think farmer. A farmer is somebody who the crops are, they basically tend to the crops, they nurture the crops to make sure there's you reap what you sow. But the farmer in this instance they're just tending to the crops that are already there. A hunter is going to go out, kill something, and bring it back. Okay? He hired a farmer, basically an account rep. He didn't do an assessment. And so month after month, working with this person, he didn't have a process in place, a system in place, which we're going to get to soon. He was spending tens of thousands of dollars, and the sales rep kept reaching out to people who he had reached out to previously and continued to do that. He needed him to reach out to new people. So fatal mistake, frustration. They would meet week after week after week, and the salesperson would say, I just make a lot of excuses, okay? Now, so you have to know why you want to hire someone, and you have to have a good reason. If you're just hiring because you're sick and tired of doing something, you're probably going to make mistakes in the process like this person did, Melvin, all right? Secondly, we kind of addressed this. What type of salesperson do you want to hire? Okay, Melvin needed a hunter, and he hired a farmer. Okay, so if you need a hunter versus a farmer, you need to be able to identify that up front. In your business, do you have a marketing process in place that's bringing you leads? Or are you reliant on a salesperson to provide leads for you? Okay, you've got to assess what type of specific needs in your business and hire accordingly. Here's a couple different types of salespeople, and this is where a lot of people get it wrong. A BDR, business development rep. Typically, a business development rep, they have the hunter mindset. William, Reese, great to see you. They have the hunter mindset as they're reaching out, called outbound. They're making cold calls. They're sending out cold emails. They're reaching out through direct messages. They're connecting with people on LinkedIn. The business development rep, or BDR, is outbound, looking to generate traffic, develop leads, typically that they're going to hand off to someone else, like an SDR. So business development rep, they're going to generate leads for you. And it takes a certain mindset, it takes a certain skill set, and you need to have a process in place that they follow. You need to have a system in place that they follow. If you don't, and you're just hiring someone because they have experience, and you don't know how to manage or lead them, or you don't have a process to manage or lead them to, you are going to be in heap big trouble. Seriously. It's going to be like Melvin, who I just talked about, who spent tens of thousands of dollars because he wanted to fill a sit. Remember the why? He just wanted to fill somebody. He filled the spot with a farmer who wasn't reaching out to people, tens of thousands of dollars. And it ended up for a lot of frustration for him and the sales rep. Okay? So business development rep, outbound, generating leads. An SDR, sales development rep. Typically, a sales development rep is there's leads coming in, and what they're doing with those leads is they're qualifying them, and they're getting them to the next step in the process, and they're converting those into clients. Okay? So business development rep, that's the type that are, I mean, if you're in your inbox and let me speak English and slow down. If you're on LinkedIn, chances are you've had someone who is a business development rep, especially if you're a business owner, reach out to you. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to get you into a meeting. They're trying to qualify you. They're trying to get you to a link to see their demo, to do whatever. So that's a business development rep, okay? Again, sales development rep, they're taking the leads and they're qualifying them and getting them to the next step in the process, whether it be a conversation and then converting into clients. Or you can have a hybrid, which is unusual. When I was in sales, we didn't have business development reps. When I was working, I'm still in sales today, but when I grew up, when I started in sales, we did it all. I did the cold calls, I scheduled the meetings, and I converted those into clients. So today it's more specialized, and it's really important that you hire someone who has special skills, or they have the attributes and the personality of someone who's going to do outbound. Okay? So you have to assess them and understand them, so you have to know what type of salesperson you're going to hire. All right? Hunter versus farmer, a business development rep, generating leads, an SDR. So do you have a marketing strategy in place that's generating leads? Okay? All right. So identify why you're hiring the salesperson. Identify what type of salesperson you want to hire. Those are essential. Okay? I was talking with a business owner recently, and she had some people that were working for her business for a long time, number of years. And she did an assessment afterwards, and she learned after doing the assessment, we had a conversation, that she did a DISC assessment. If you don't know what DISC is, it's DISC. Typically, and this person, this business owner, she needed someone who was a hunter. She needed hunters, and she also needed a farmer. But with the two people that we talked about, after doing the DISC assessment, she learned that they were not, the assessment told her that they weren't the right person for what she wanted them to do. So that's a problem. Now, they were there a number of years, and they definitely filled a role for her in the company, but they were missing out on what she needed them for. Okay? So why do you want to hire the salesperson? What type of salesperson do you want to hire? An assessment, there's DISC assessment, there's predictive index assessment. If you want more information on different types of assessments to assess salespeople, send me a direct message here on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to send you some of the other ones. It's essential to assess people so you know from the get-go, before you even get it far into the interview process, oh, this person is a farmer. This person is a hunter. This person is neither. It can give you a good indication, and it will save you a lot of time. It will save you a lot of money, okay? Again, reach out to me if you want. I'll give you the top 5 for me. I mean, or you could just ask ChatGPT. Seriously, what are the top 5 assessments out there for hiring a salesperson? All right? So, why do you want to hire a salesperson? What type of salesperson do you want to hire? Now, how, very important, how will you support them? Hiring a salesperson is like no other position in your company. I mean, we're a rare breed. I'm putting my hand up in the air if you can see me. By the way, I'm recording this if you want to see a replay on this over the weekend. Mauricio, great to see you. Josh, great to see you, man. So, hiring a salesperson, how are you going to support them? There has to be a support structure in place to hold them accountable, very important, to challenge them in a good way, to provide role playing, and so there's data that you can track to see where they are in the process based on the data. You always have to look at the data to see things, because salespeople, you know, one thing about us is we're really good at explaining why the 5 people we've been contacting every week with no new context, why we're really close. And I had this conversation and I'm going to talk to the CEO next week. And we're really good at explaining and making excuses. Okay? This is why if you aren't the right person to manage or lead them, you need to have someone in place. Okay? So think about this. Why do you want to hire them? What type of salesperson do you want to hire? How are you going to support the salespeople through the process? I was in a position, my second to last job, sales position before starting my business, and my boss was this 6'4", 320 former Marine who liked to scream and shout a lot. He's a very intimidating guy, okay? And the average sales rep longevity for his company was like 9 months. You'll understand here in a minute. He told me he overheard a call in the office, and he called me into his office after he heard me talking with a CEO of a company. And he had me and he sat me down, and he said, Chaz, our product is at the bottom of the priority list of the C-level people, the presidents, the COO, the CEO. You need to call on the buyer, the materials manager, the purchasing manager. Those are the people that you need to call on. And just so you know, it's like, Chaz, what were you selling? We were selling fasteners to manufacturers, which are essential part of the process, but everyone out there is selling fasteners. And the typical way that people sold fasteners, they went with their line card. It was ridiculous. And this is, he didn't have a way to support the salespeople. It was just, here's the CRM. Okay, go make some phone calls and whatnot. So he told me, do not call on the C level. So he's paying me, right? So for 12 months, I was doing his way. And I met with this purchasing manager of a manufacturer, and I was driving out there. It was a 90-minute drive, so 3-hour drive round trip. And I probably spent, 25 hours over the course of a year meeting with this person. And after 12 months, my final meeting with this person, she said, Chaz, we don't need your services or help. We're good. We're taken care of. I walked out of her, we said bye, and I walked out of the office into the parking lot, and I was mad. I had just wasted all those hours during those 12 months talking with a purchasing manager. And so this is what I did. I got in my car, I got on the phone, I called the president of that manufacturer that I was sitting in the parking lot of, and I got through. His name is Doug. I said, Doug, this is Chaz with blank, the company I worked for at the time. And I said, we reduce the total cost of inventory for manufacturers like you by 23% while increasing the production rate by 27%. Can I schedule a time to meet with you? I scheduled the meeting. I met with him next week. Guess who he called into the office as I was sitting there with him? That lady who just told me they didn't need me. So, check this out. 45 days later, they became our customer, $100,000 a month. Okay? $100,000 a month, one of my largest customers at the time. And then guess what? The president of the company called me into his office again. He said, Chaz, I want to promote you to national sales manager, and I want you to hire a sales team and train them on your process. And so I did. We had the why, I had the process in place, and I gave them a lot of support. We did role playing. We did weekly meetings. I created an environment where it was safe for them to fail. This is very important for salespeople. If you don't create an environment for it safe to fail, and you have someone like my boss, it's like very intimidating. Thankfully, I just listened to my gut and took action and called the president of the manufacturer. That decision, by the way, was life-changing for me. I wouldn't have started my business probably years later if I didn't make that decision right then and there, okay? So being safe to fail, creating an environment, how you support your salesperson is essential. That means that they can do their own unique things within their personality, and if they do something outside their comfort zone, you are rewarding them for taking the effort. Don't be so focused on the outcomes. Yes, the outcomes are important, but it's the efforts and the activities and the behaviors that get people from where they are to where they need to go. And if you don't get them to enjoy the process, they're never going to get the outcomes. You're never going to get the outcomes. Does that make sense? Okay. So we had role plays, and we would have celebrations when I would meet with them weekly, and sometimes it was and I would do individual with coaching with them as well. If we would talk about, okay, what's your failure celebration for this week? And we would go around the table. At first, people were scared because they didn't want to talk about their failure. When they understood it was safe and okay, it created, this is so important. Wow, this is so important. People started celebrating and laughing with one another and saying, oh man, I tried that too. Oh, I did this too. Great. And then it got the worry, the fear, the anxiety out of the salespeople, and they understood it was okay to fail. The salespeople that I hired 4 of them, okay? And they stayed there an average of 5 years. They broke my sales records, okay? And which is good. Because I was in a different role at that point in time, but that's okay. They broke my sales records, and they went from this person, Bob, he went from hiring a salesperson every 9 to 12 months to having a longevity or an average of 5 years because he had a support system in place. Okay? He knew how, it was me at the time, how to support his salespeople with a support system in place, with a system and process. Okay, very, very important. You may not be the person that's going to manage your salespeople. You may not be set up for it. So you need a sales system or a sales coach, someone who could come alongside you and support them. A lot of times sales managers are thrust into this role because maybe they were top in sales or something. Typically, I mean, that's why I was put there. A lot of times, just because somebody is good at selling doesn't mean that they're good at managing and coaching. I just happen to understand by moving from my position from sales rep to national sales manager, I loved coaching people. And That's what I learned. My why is helping people see and realize their potential. Does that make sense? Okay. So you have to provide accountability. Remember, how are you going to support them? Why are you going to hire them? Who or what type of salesperson are you going to hire? You have to have role plays. There needs to be training. There needs to be consistent reviews of progress, lack thereof, are essential. Hiring salespeople is like no other position in your company. Okay. By the way, if you hired a salesperson and they're not a right fit, you could still turn things around. Okay. The thing that I would recommend is do an assessment. Reach out to me. I'd be glad to help you assess where they are. Go to my profile. You'll see the link in my banner photo. Just put that in your browser. You're going to have to write it down. It says b2bclientsnow.com. I'll be happy to reach out to you. Okay? Very important, don't hire a salesperson until you have a proven process in place with a proven sales system. Two different things here. Sales process, sales system. All right? The last job I worked at before starting my business, I was hired by this individual, and there wasn't a support system in place. And basically, he would say this to the sales. Now, this person was turning over salespeople every 5 to 7 months. Okay, you see a common theme here. Okay, he knew why he wanted to hire the salespeople. He had a good reason. And he had about a $10 million a year company, and this is typically what he did. Chaz, or whoever he hired, here's our CRM. 5,000 qualified leads in the CRM. LOL, I'm saying that purposely. This is what a lot of people say. We have 1,000, 10,000, 25,000 people in our CRM, qualified leads, okay? Many times those are not qualified leads. There's a lot of contact information in CRMs with companies that have been around for a while. So he didn't really know what type of salesperson. He just went with people who he thought that he liked and may be good. All right? And tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars that he spent. He didn't have he had a sales process, which I'm going to define, very important point. Sales process, selling system. You have to have both, and they need to be in alignment with one another. They need to work congruently with one another, okay? So a sales process can look something like this. Well, you can't see, so just listen up. Number 1, prospecting. 2, qualifying. 3, needs assessment. 4, presentation. 5, handling objections. 6, closing. 7, follow-up. What's missing here? Very important point, okay? What is missing here? You have the sales process. By the way, with a sales process and a sales system, you must know and understand it so that you know that it's right for you. And with your sales process, you should be using this before hiring a salesperson, depending upon where you are, owning your business, how long you've owned the business and whatnot, okay? So the thing that is missing here is the system, the sales system in which these things operate. And that takes soft skills. Soft skills. You can have a person who follows the sales process. And if they follow the sales process, they'll close typically 10, 15% of those people, which is very, very, very low. Because why? They may not be in the right position. They don't have the process, and they don't have the soft skills. And let me tell you all something. I've been in sales for many years. I teach people how to sell. And you know what? I make mistakes consistently, still. And you want to know something? I still have a sales coach. I still go through additional sales trainings consistently. Because sales is a skill that you have to continue to update and get better and learn new things because the marketplace is always changing and shifting. How you sold in 2000 is different how you sell today. It's different how you sell today back than what you did before 2020. 2020 shifted everything, and now with virtual sales, it's a whole different world in selling through Zoom and phone calls and whatnot, okay? So the difference between, or what's missing here is the soft skills, and that is the selling system. So Brian spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on sales reps. He had a negative ROI. He had a company that was established so he could support his losses with salespeople, but he didn't have a selling system. And let me give you an example. Like this would be a selling system. Soft skills, intention. This is the number one step in my sales system. Go with the intention to serve, not sell. That changes what you say. It changes how you say it. Okay? That changes everything. Rapport. If you don't know how to build rapport, you're going to waste your time. You're going to waste your prospects' time. You have to build rapport. That's about building trust with your prospects so that they want to talk to you. Not only talk to you, but have those difficult conversations. Sales is not about coercing. It's not about pushing them through the sales process. It's not about dragging them through the sales process. It's not about manipulating. It's about having an open dialogue with two people, identifying a problem and working together to solve it. You're not going to have that open dialogue if you don't build rapport. One of the most important. Intention is the most important. Rapport is the second most important. Budget. Do you know how to uncover budget? There's a certain skill set. Hey, do you have any money? So what you say is important, but how you say it is most important, okay? There's a specific way to ask a question to uncover budget. This takes soft skills, okay? Technique. Do you know how to identify the decision maker? I have someone in my audience right now who we talk about this on every phone call. We just had a conversation yesterday about this. Identifying the decision maker and ending each and every conversation with a clear next step, time, date, in each other's calendar. You know who's doing what, when. Don't end a conversation with having a time, date in the calendar and know what they're doing, what you're doing. They should have skin in the game. Again, it's not you dragging them through the sales process, pushing them through the sales process, okay? These are the soft skills. This is the selling system. And then one of the essential parts is you're going with the intention to serve, you're building rapport, you get the decision maker into the conversation, you know they have a budget. Now, here's where a lot of people struggle. It's uncovering the depth of their problem. People do today what they did yesterday. And you know what? Sometimes that problem will rear its head and they'll think, oh, this is a problem. But then they continue doing the same thing. You have to have the skill with asking difficult questions to uncover the problem so you understand what that problem, pain, is costing them. This is where people get, I have clients that struggle with this all the time. It's uncomfortable asking these questions because we feel like I shouldn't be probing. I'm being intrusive. Can I tell you something? And with looking at the right salesperson, you have to get the right salesperson and develop these skills and help continue to build these skills. You have to uncover the pain, understand what is costing them, how that problem, that pain, that challenge, how it's preventing them from reaching a goal or objective. And most importantly, this is the key, how that problem is affecting the decision maker or decision makers personally. If you don't uncover that information, you shouldn't present your offer. Very important. For so many years, I would just present. That's why I had such a low closing percentage. I didn't understand uncovering the problem at the depth I just said. There's a cancer there. There's a cancer. If you don't understand there's a cancer there, or maybe they don't have a cancer, that's why intention is so important. You have to work with people who need you and disqualify people who don't need you, okay? Very important. It's not about selling everybody. Sales is about helping people burst through obstacles and achieve goals. But you got to understand the problem and the extent of that problem. If you don't uncover that information, guess what? You're not going to have a laser focused presentation that focuses on that main problem, that main need, that main obstacle, that goal that they want to achieve, that objective. Very important, okay? Only then you can present a laser focused solution and removing roadblocks. This is all in the selling system. Sales process, that's good, but it needs to be in alignment and work congruently, with a selling system, okay? So a lot of people here, anybody overcoming objections? Have you guys heard about overcoming objections or try to overcome objections? That's important, an important skill set, but if you get to overcoming objections and if you get to that point and you haven't removed roadblocks first, it's a difficult skill set. Yes, there's people who make millions of dollars at teaching you how to overcome objections. But in my selling system, it's about removing roadblocks. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm talking to Mauricio here in the audience. Don't you love his pink jacket? Is that awesome or what? All right. So I'm talking to Mauricio and we've actually had this conversation. So I'm talking to Mauricio, and I've uncovered the problem, what is costing them, how it's preventing them from reaching a goal or objective, how it affects him personally. And I present my offer laser focused. And I say, Mauricio, based on your problem, where you want to go, the obstacles, and what I presented to you. This is after I presented my solution. This is removing roadblocks. Very important. This is before you get to overcoming objections. If you do this, the objections are going to sometimes be non-existent. Okay, non-existent. 3 questions. Mauricio, based on what I talked about with where you are, where you're looking to go, is there anything that gives you pause or hesitation for moving forward? Okay. First question. Second question. Is there anything that I didn't cover that you hoped I would have? Okay. Do you understand? This is removing roadblocks. You're going to the core to remove the roadblocks so you take care of the objections before they come up. Do you understand this? From a psychological perspective, if you do this, I use onboarding instead of closing. Your onboarding percentage will go up significantly. Okay. Third question. I love this one, by the way. Based on where you are, my solution, and me, what's your confidence level in me, in my solution, being able to solve your problem? On a scale of 1 to 10. 1, 100%, or no, 1 is 0% confident, 10, 100% confident. Where would you score me and my solution? And then, very important, this is another soft skill, shut up and listen. Okay, fermez la bouche. Okay, that's French for shut up and listen. Okay, so that means be quiet. The average salesperson will break the silence if it goes longer than 2 seconds. You've just asked a good penetrating question, or 3 of them in this case, and so be quiet and listen. If they come back and say 8 or above, you typically will have a new client, and so that's important. Then there may be still some objections that they have and whatnot. Like, I need to think it over. It's like, okay, be empathetic. It's like, I appreciate you thinking it over. I'm like that too. What's your criteria for wanting to think it over? Okay. Very good question. I mean, they're not going to sit there and say, oh, I just met with Ann and I told her I was going to think it over. So I'm going to spend 3 hours in this chair with my elbow on my knee and my fist on my chin thinking it over. It just doesn't happen. That's a smokescreen. We all say, I want to think it over in the Western world because that's what we do, okay? And then you have post-sale. People get buyer's remorse. You need to be able to deal with that knowing that it's going to come up. And so when you close a sale, then you need to know how to post-sell. With my clients, okay, first thing I need you to do, welcome aboard, let's rock, this is where you want to go. Email me your 3 objectives that you want to have in your first 30 days, okay? And again, you talked about your why. Tell me why that's important to you. I get them taking action, and so they're responding to me within an email, depending upon who I'm talking to. And so they're acting, and it's not just, oh man, what did I just do? I just spent all this money. Right? So post-sale. All right. So why do you want to hire a salesperson? What type of salesperson do you want to hire? How are you going to support your salesperson? Do you have a sales process in place that they know to go step by step by step through the process? And do you have a selling system that's in alignment with your sales process that works congruently with that? All right. All right. Anybody have any questions? I'd be happy to have you come up on stage, raise your hand, and let's have a chat. And can I tell you something else? Here's something else. You have to be, this is why it's so important to create a culture of safe to fail. Because fear is the big, you are, your salespeople's biggest obstacle is themselves. This is why you have to create a culture where it's safe to fail. Not only do they have fear or you having fear coming up on stage, you have to help them step out of their comfort zone and into their potential. It is a wonderful thing when you work with a salesperson and you help them see their potential, help them realize their potential, and they start making money, which supports your business. Mauricio, come on up. Unmute yourself. Mauricio, great to have you here, man.
Hey guys, thanks man. Always great to listen to you. But I don't have so much of a question as much as I have more like compliment to the things you've been teaching us. And for us, when we first started working, as you remember, we thought we had it down, and we've been in sales for so long. But then it was those questions that you taught us that were so mind blowing because they're so simple. But you had to have the courage, which takes us out of our comfort zone, and ask the questions. But just the effectiveness of those questions was just incredible. So kudos to you for sharing that with us after all of the research you've done. It's been so cool to see just how much better our customers respond. And from the different strategies you taught us, how to deal with ghosting and all the different things, it's just been so fun to kind of reinvigorate our sales strategies and start seeing results. So thank you for that. I just wanted to give you kudos because we benefited tremendously from this.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know what? It's seeing you and Jerome execute, and you have been the master of asking those questions on, is there anything that gives you pause or hesitation? You've done such a great job on that, and it's awesome. I get so much joy out of just seeing you guys get that aha, execute on it, and get results. It's so amazing.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you again.
Yep, you are most welcome. And by the way, if you know of anybody who's in transportation who manages drivers, Mauricio and his partner are going to have an event. They have a really cool patented item that will eliminate or greatly reduce driver accidents for companies. And if you guys don't know this, if your driver gets in an accident, all these vehicles have GPS devices on them. And so the plaintiff, if there's an accident, they're going to sue your company. That GPS gives them all that information, which will work against you. They have a device, so the device will help know when it's time to put in driver training, and it will actually give the driver training for them. It's brilliant. And so if you know anybody, send them over to Mauricio or have them connect with Mauricio. Anybody else have a final question before I go? Thanks again, Mauricio. All right, everybody. I will replay this on Saturday with video of me at 9 a.m. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Anybody need help with anything, sales, marketing, need an assessment, you're thinking about hiring a salesperson, reach out to me, okay? Right here on LinkedIn, just go to my profile, you click on my photo. If you're connected, you can just send me a direct message, or in the banner photo, you'll see the web address to connect. Just put your name in there and just put event next to your name so I know how you found me. All right, everyone, you have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me.